dinner with Matthias Cormann, the then Australian Finance Minister in Perth, and said to him that something had to be done to protect and defend our families, that decisive action was needed. The Australian government was slow to act. There were so many bureaucratic hurdles put in front of us. John Skerritt was then instructed by Cabinet to provide me and our companies with all the approvals we needed to import into Australia large quantities of hydroxychloroquine to protect all Australians. He did make all the authorisation to provide us with all the required exemptions. Donald Trump and the US government were cornering the world market for hydroxychloroquine, and at that time the British government had banned the export of hydroxychloroquine. We needed a lot of money, and we had to beat the US and Europe in the race for hydroxychloroquine. I personally provided all the money, but we needed more than that. We needed people that would be devoted and single-minded, and I called upon my daughter Emily and my future son-in-law Declan, who together scoured the world for 6 months and brought back 37 million doses of hydroxychloroquine to Australia. Enough for all Australians to stop the pandemic and to save our lives. The US government, with all their resources, only secured 31 million doses. The 37 million doses of hydroxychloroquine were imported into Australia and placed on the government stockpile. We paid for it all. But then once Pfizer and the lobbyists heard about it, the hydroxychloroquine was destroyed by Scott Morrison, Greg Hunt, both who must bear, with John Skerritt and the TGA, the responsibility for increased deaths and the maiming of Australians over the last 12 months. Over 80% of deaths in hospital could have been avoided if Australia had early treatment with hydroxychloroquine. Over 9,000 Australian lives could have been saved. That was the view of Dr. Salenko before he died. You know, Emily and Declan's work ensured that there was no shortage, as the government was later to claim. The tens of millions of dollars that I spent were needlessly wasted. Emily and Declan's efforts were needlessly wasted. I want to say tonight that I'm proud of my daughter, Emily. I'm proud of Declan. And I'm proud of what they tried to do for all Australians. The fact that their efforts were squashed by Pfizer and the rest of them, including John Skerritt and the corrupt TGA, doesn't mean that Emily and Declan's efforts were in vain. Their actions stand in contrast with the evil we're now facing. At that time, I donated $1 million to the Royal Brisbane Hospitals to fund a trial for hydroxychloroquine so it could be approved in Australia for another use against the virus. That $1 million disappeared when the TGA stopped the trial in Brisbane. We need direct action. Direct action. Congratulations to Melissa McCann for doing all that she can to hold those responsible to account.